now magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's the wizard flow. Life is a spell we know. We're casting joy.
There is a house in your Dungeon Master's Guide. It's called the Bastion. And there you'll get superpowers. Thanks God, I already have one. I'm pretty sure that's how the song goes, right? Good morning, my nerds. How are you? And welcome. The elections have come and gone, for better or worse. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's the 6th day of November 2024. It is super duper windy. I don't know if you can hear it, but we're getting like 35, 40 miles an hour. So hold on. I'm going to see if you can hear it. Can you hear that? So we might lose power. But anyways, there is a new thing. Well, not that new of a thing. It's actually something that was in the game at the very beginning. But there's a brand new thing in the brand new Dungeon Master's Guide called the Bastion system. Not sure why of all the possible names they chose Bastion. They couldn't call it Keep, Castle, Base of Operations, Secret Headquarters. Bastion, I don't know, man. It's just not a pleasant word. Probably because there's a Marvel Comics supervillain named Bastion. I don't know, man. The word just doesn't do it for me. So that's my initial complaint is purely aesthetic. It's just like bastions. Come on, honey, let's go to the Bastion. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't roll off the tongue. So what is a Bastion? At 5th level, your player characters get the ability to find one of these things or build one of these things. Now, in the old days, building a secret base or a public base was something the characters could do or they could find. I mean, literally part of the plot of Keep on the Borderlands is there's a keep. Go clear it out. And then you can have it. And you can do stuff with it. And it'll give your player characters a base of operations for the remainder of their adventuring. So it's been around. It's always been a suggested way to get players to waste lots of money, especially high-level characters who have nothing else to do. It's like, why didn't they build a base? Fighters build fighter pits and trainings guilds. Thieves build their own thieves guild. Wizards build their towers. Priests build their own temple. And all the secondary classes are like, I don't know, I'm a ranger. I'll build a zoo. I'm a druid. I'll build, I don't know, a park. I'm a warlock. I'll build summoning sorcerers. Like, I don't know what I am. I'm going to just build a fucking house and save them and invest the money, you idiots. Basically, it was a gold sink and a time sink for players when they didn't have something to do. And it's evolved its way into current play. You know, you have if you're doing campaign building in your game, there will be usually a section for campaign building, behind the scenes stuff you're doing at home when you're not out adventuring. So that's not new. And we know it exists in video games. There were at least 4 or 5 video games I could think of off the top of my head that at a certain level allow your character to access a off-screen secret base, or several characters to build a guild and go into the guild. And in that guild, they can do stuff. Mostly it's just cosmetic stuff. You know, occasionally they can do daily quests that get them little trinkets and stuff. But basically, it's all just to generate a secret headquarters for your character to do things in, to get either daily quests or little teeny cosmetic bonuses or whatever. It's relatively harmless. Just like a bunch of little mini games. And we know that Wizards has got this virtual tabletop thing happening. And they've already said one of the big selling points of the virtual tabletop is the ability to build your base of operations, your bastion. Each character could build their own bastion in the game, or all of them could create a guild and build a gigantic bastion in the game, and it'll be a place for them to go and decorate and play dress up. And then we also know that there is going to be a pay-to-play mechanic in place for the VTD, so that they can have microtransactions, and a huge chunk of the microtransactions in any game that has microtransactions is cosmetics. Here's your base. Here's your ability to buy more rooms for your base, to buy decorations for your base, to buy little different things to make your base look specifically cool. I think Path of Exile had the best microtransaction system because you bought a secret base, you could buy all these cosmetics for the secret base, and at the end of the season, they reset the entire server, so your base goes away. You have to start all over again. That's brilliant. Spend more money. And then they have little contests. So who has the best looking base? Who has the coolest looking base? And of course, you have to spend more microtransactions to get all the cool stuff. So all the cool kids will come over to your house and we can have a cool pool party and everybody can think you're cool and go, character's mom has got it going on. The character's mom is, yeah. So it's a time sink. It's a resource sink. It's a money sink. It's a look at my cool digital toy sink. Hasbro looked at this mechanic and said, we're definitely putting it in the VTT. So instead of actually doing adventuring, they could just have entire scenarios of playing dress up my house. Let's play The Sims. Let's build my house, dress up my house. I don't know. It's Halloween, so I'll spend 100,000 imaginary money to make my house look spooky. And they've decided somehow to take this very virtual microtransaction secret base mechanic and square peg round hole it into the Dungeon Master's Guide. So here, your 5th level, here's a way to waste some money, waste some time, and you to do things. And on the surface, that's fine. What DM doesn't want to give their players a way to waste money? And having a cool place from which to base your adventures out of, whether you have your own single wizard's tower or you've all gotten together to reclaim the keep on the borderlands and make it your own little base of operations. That's cool. And we know when the characters aren't adventuring, when they make it back home, they have a place to hang out and put, over on that wall, I'm going to hang the head of the giant Hydra I killed. And in this room, I'm going to put the magical bathtub. Don't ask us how we got the magical bathtub home. And the wizard can build this little library and teleportation thing and blah, 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 blah. On the surface, wonderful, higher level campaign building, money time sink. Now, there's 2 or 3 ingrained problems in this that everybody is saying are red flags for the proposed way Hasbro Wizards wants D&D to go going forward. Apparently, sidebar, there's some people who are still shocked at this is the direction Wizards of the Coast is taking Dungeons and Dragons, despite the fact that they, consistently have been telling you this is the goal for Dungeons and Dragons since before 2020. Literally, technically, they've been telling you this is the goal since 4th edition. For some reason, despite the fact I say this every day, there are still people who are still shocked when Wizards does this. I don't know. I think it's silly at this point that there are still people who are shocked. I'm drinking coffee. All right. So the very first thing it says in the description, it provides a safe space for the characters. And it implies that when they're in the Bastion, the DM has absolutely no control over what happens, and the DM can't do anything to them while they're in the Bastion. And while they're in the Bastion, they can spend their Bastion points to have the Bastion do stuff to give them superpowers that the DM has no control of. Now, all the people who are saying this and saying how this is a horrible thing are first ignoring the fact that on all the tables for Bastion turn, it does list things like bandit raids. And second, that, yeah, they can do them in the base, but a lot of those are only in the base. Once they leave, a lot of those don't leave with them. But yes, definitely when this goes to the VTT, there will be a microtraction market. So that is absolutely 100% something to be like, oh no, I can't believe Wizards of the Coast is doing that for the VTT. Does this video game mechanic work in Dungeons and Dragons? Well, basically, once every week, you get to decide what your Bastion is doing. You've already achieved the Bastion. You've run the little adventure to get the Bastion, or it just appears out of nowhere. most likely, I mean, the best scenario is keep on the borderlands, or some keep on the borderlands like scenario, where you've taken over something and decided this is now our base of operations. And I can do base of operations stuff. So every couple weeks, you get points, Bastion money, to have the Bastion do something. And then you will roll on a table, and on the Bastion either succeeds on that or fails on that, or something happens. And as you get higher level, you can build better things. At level 13, you can build your very own demi-plane. At level 13, you can build a mediation chamber. You can build a pub. You can build barracks, kitchens, dining rooms, parlor, courtrooms. And every week you decide what I'm going to do. I could have my hirelings do something this week, like till the fields, go get my taxes, build some more rooms. I'll have my blacksmith build some weapons. I'll have my Fletcher build some arrows. I'll have my alchemist try and build me some potions, whatever, right? So this can happen while you're out adventuring, or it can happen when you're back home. The question it doesn't answer is, how does this work if I'm not there? Because some of the bastions give you bonuses. Like if you meditate in the meditation chamber and it's a successful roll, you get a bonus to your stats. But what if you're not there? How do you get back? That seems sort of vague, though it does allow you to build a teleportation sigil. So you could just, I poofity whoopity poof my way back to the Bastion, do my level up, get my bonuses from the meditation chamber, get my potions from the alchemist, and then teleport splittity spoppity poop back to where I was if you have spent the time and money. I mean, no matter what, it does require spending time, money, and resources to get the Bastion to grow till you can have these superpowers. And then you have to spend Bastion points to get these each turn for the thing to do the thing. While you're in the Bastion, technically, it does say the DM can't do anything to you. Even if one of the tables say bandits attack, it doesn't really go into the mechanics of defending the keep from the bandits. There's no mechanics for the siege warfare. You just roll a dice, and if you roll above a number, nothing happens, you win. If you roll below the number, oh no, a couple of your hirelings got killed, but you eventually still won. I don't think there's any chance on any of the tables for something horrible to happen. There's a lot of minor inconveniences involved in the tables, but actually things like, oh no, the bandits blew up your walls, and after a long fought out tournament, they've taken, what things you'd like to, actual horrible things, like the bandits destroyed, a wall. The bandits have taken over the keep. You've got to take it back from them. The bandits kidnapped your favorite NPC, actual things. No, it's a couple of dudes died, or I mean, they're not dead because it's D&D and nobody dies in D&D anymore. A couple of dudes ran away, but you won. And some of the other tables are like, oh, it didn't work, but you still have to spend the Bastion money. Oh, it was a failure, and there was a fire. I mean, yeah, they're all inconsequential. They're all very video gamey. It is a video game system taken from video games. Try it, and then, much like 4th edition, square peg, round hole, bashed to try and fit into a D&D 5e, 6e mindset, knowing full well that the whole point is to introduce it in the actual upcoming VTT, so you can do all the things that Wizards saw other people do in the VTTs and video games and go, look, that's cool. You guys can do that too. While you're in the Bastion, you can get all sorts of superpowers, and you can take some of those superpowers with you. While you're in the Bastion, you can get potions, you can get minor magic items, you can get a whole bunch of stuff if the rolls go your way, and the DM can't do anything to stop you. It is perfectly safe in the Bastion. No disaster, no rampaging dragon, no army of orcs. Nothing really bad can happen to your character. They are safe in the Bastion. Now, of course, some people would say, but yeah, isn't that the thing that they're always safe when they're in town? Isn't that the whole point, that you're protecting town from all the things that want to destroy town because town's always safe? And when I'm in town, I can go visit an alchemist and get potions, right? When I'm in town, I can get healed. When I'm in town, I can get a magic user to research a spell for me. When I'm in town, I can pay the blacksmith to baby build a magic item for me. And then I leave town and I come back at some point in time, and maybe that's ready. Or in most cases, and let's face it, in most cases, the truth is you will ask your Bastion to do something, you'll leave, and then you'll forget you asked it to do it because other things happen in the game, and the Bastion slowly reverts itself to the back of your brain. And then, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of gaming time happens, and you've completely forgotten the fact that you asked the Bastion to make you healing potions or a magic item or make those buffs so that you could go back and get the buffs. And then it's like the scene from, Sorcerer Mickey was suddenly you come back and all the magic brooms have gone insane and the wizard's library is flooded. 3/4 of a wall has just been built. There's an elephant in your bedroom because, let's face it, the players are going to forget, just like they forgot hundreds and hundreds of times that they asked the people in town to do something. I mean, every game I have ever played for 50 years, if there was a town and somebody asked the players, an NPC to do something, and the GM said, sure, he'll do it, but it'll take X amount of time, 90% of the time we forgot. I even remember one time when a DM went out of his way to remind us. And like a year later, something we'd asked NPCs to do showed up. And we're like, what is this? And then the guys are like, don't you remember? Yeah, it was, oh yeah, we asked you to build that thing like a year ago. Well, that was a year ago. We don't need it anymore. So on the surface, it should be a thing that DMs should be excited about. I'm giving you a mechanic that lets you do cool things as long as you waste your hard-earned resources. What are you going to do with that 10,000 gold piece gem? Invest it in the Bastion. What are you going to do with all those extra potions you found and those magic items you're not using? Invest it in the Bastion. Let me give you something that's really, really cool so I can take it away from you later. Except I can't. And if we scrape away all the complaints about the Bastion and really look at it, the two main things that we're upset about is, one, nothing bad happens to them. It is a safe space while they're in the Bastion. They could spend their entire time just doing Bastion stuff to slowly build up money, magic items, and buffs. But so what? All the buffs in the world don't matter shit if you're not doing anything. You want to spend your entire campaign inside the Bastion just doing mini quests and fishing and slowly building up your blacksmithing skill. I mean, I can't stop you. And I'm sure there's people who think that's fun. Fuck, I used to fish in Warcraft. I'd spend 2-3 hours doing nothing but fishing in Warcraft because it was relaxing and it was fun. And I could just shut my brain off for 2 or 3 hours and just have my little World of Warcraft character go to my favorite spot and sit there and do digital fishing and listen to the digital sound of the birds and be like, oh, this is almost like the real thing. And I'm relaxed. Second, we're upset about the fact that it allows them to buy magic items. It allows them to generate buffs. And they can take some of those buffs with them if they leave. I can pray at the thing or build a thing or get a thing, and then I can leave and bring that buff with me, which makes the DM's chances much harder. Now, I would also remind, and that does seem kind of unfair. That does seem like, once again, we're getting rid of the Dungeon Master's Guide. We're getting rid of the idea of the agency of the Dungeon Master, and we're just allowing the players this heat sink to generate special abilities. And why should you adventure if you can just have this thing that generates special abilities for you and I can't stop it? I can't do anything to you. You can spend your character's entire life in this secret base And there's nothing I can do to you except go, I don't know, what do you want to do this week? I'm going to have my blacksmith generate 250 more halberds, because that gives my blacksmith enough emeralds that I can then go to my alchemist and trade those in for 175 red tomatoes. And then I can take those red tomatoes and trade them into my farmer for 375 emeralds. And then I can use those emeralds to go to my wizard and get a +2 to my bonus to hit and a +2 to my bonus to damage. And I'm invulnerable to fire for the next 3 days. Okay, now what? Well, I'm going to do the same thing. Are you ever going to go on an adventure? Well, no, I mean, eventually. So if there is a bright side to this bizarre mechanic, other than the obvious, it's a great way for them to waste time and resources and get distracted. And every time they're in the Bastion, there could be something horrible going on in the world. Where does it say my bad guys can't have one also? I mean, the rules are there. And NPCs get to use the exact same rules player characters use, right? And if my player characters are building a secret headquarters, why can't my bad guys build a secret headquarters? And if my player character's 11th level secret headquarters allows them to generate 1 healing potion a day, why can't my bad guys' secret headquarters do? In fact, everything you can do, I can do better. True, yes, but it's once you leave the Bastion to go to the Feywild, there's things that could happen in the Feywild, but there's nothing that really happens to you in the Bastion except for a few minor things from like I understand. But yeah, as long as the player characters stay in the Bastion, they could just stack up all these resources and all these buffs and have adventures without actually adventuring. You know, I don't need to go out and look for magic items. I just wait long enough and eventually I'll get the magic items I want. You can do the same thing in town, right? It's not like these are new rules. Ranger for with an armory and a barracks, only the bad guys can access it to neither want to harm their base, but how long before they come to blows? Oh, Bastion versus Bastion? I don't know if they have rules for that, but that'd be cool. And then we just get back to that's kingdom building. That's just classic kingdom building. My fort, my keep on the borderlands versus the bad guys' village of Hamlet. Who wins? My bad guys can have a Bastion. I suppose you could. Not that, I mean, Wizards of the Coast would never, ever encourage that. But, you know, Bronstein style game mechanics, campaign building says, well, what if my Thief's Bastion and Dark Winter's Fighter Bastion are both fighting over the same resources? Does that resolve calmly, or does a little behind the scenes civil war break out between the fighter and the thief? I doubt they have rules for that in there, but it's something to consider. Of course, that would go against the whole it's a safe space for the players, and that would go against the whole the DM can't do anything. Yes, they would if they want people online where they can buy extra that's online only. Is there anybody out there who doesn't think this is the whole point? I will remind you that Wizards of the Coast told us they were doing this repeatedly. The whole point of the Bastion system in the Dungeon Master's Guide is to baby step you to the Bastion system that's in the virtual tabletop, where that idea works much better. Because having played guild mechanics and having played building bases in World of Warcraft and Path of Exile, and seen, just the cosmetic economy work, there is some video game joy to knowing that you spend your Bastion points to get the free stuff. But we know there's plenty of people who've spent real money to get the really cool free stuff. At the end of the day, 90% of it's just cosmetic. It has no actual value in the game, but there's still 10%. What's that like in World of Warcraft? Well, in World of Warcraft, basically, you could buy the cosmetics to make it look cooler, and they would be themed to whatever faction you're in and stuff like that. But it also gave you places where you could play out your skills. Like I had a character who was an engineer, and so I would go and waste World of Warcraft time slowly getting my engineering skill up by getting, resource management, go to the auction house, get the resources, go back to my base, do the skills, get the 150 blue bolts that gives me the jump in the skill to eventually I get high enough that I could build something that was a cool toy. There was you could build toys, you could build pets, you could build mounts, depending upon what it was. You could build enchantments to make your weapons look different. You could build some high enough levels. You could build guild magic items, and you could build magic items depending upon which merchant and which skill. But anything you built with your 100 levels of engineering, you would no doubt find something a million times better while you're adventuring. But you had the tactile sensation of accomplishment, almost like pulling a jackpot on a slot machine. 1 out of every 20 times, something cool happened. And that was addicting enough to make it work. And that's what Wizards is counting on. I mean, we can't spend money to make our D&D Bastion better. We can say, Steve the Fighter is going to spend this amount of resources because I want Steve the Fighter's Bastion to have a Halloween theme this Halloween. And then we just spend a couple hours generating those resources and not actually playing. But if that's what they want to do, I mean, I can't stop you. I can say that's not really exciting, but if that's something your character wants to do, okay, well, I'll just read a book. Let me know when you're done. Yeah, but in the video game, where you can actually see it and you're actually spending real world money so you can make your video game VTT Bastion get themed for Halloween. And then Wizards says we're having a best of Halloween VTT contest, and the winner of which gets their name mentioned and they get their digital Bastion shown off, and you get a brand new exclusive cosmetic for your character, and you get a brand new exclusive set of digital dice. They're counting on people just going insane for that and spending real world money for the possibility that for one brief moment, they have the coolest looking Bastion, and that gets them a cool cosmetic. So you've just spent a couple $1,000s to win a non-existent prize. But that's what Wizards is counting on. That's what Wizards has been telling you. Wizards thinks microtransactions work, and that in the Dungeons and Dragons VTT environment, that same mechanic is going to attract you to not actually do anything, but just spend money and time to make your online Bastion look cooler and generate useless magic items and generate useless buffs, because somewhere at the highest rank, there's a slight chance that it generates something cool enough to make it worth the multiple hours you've spent. Mind you, you've spent real world time, you've spent real world money, and the thing that you've now wasted all that time and money in game on that is finally generated is either temporary, cosmetic, it has no actual effect on the game, or literally you could have found better stuff had you actually gone on the adventure the Dungeon Master had planned. but they don't want you to adventure. They don't want the DM to have any ability to place them in danger. It literally says it's a safe space for the characters to live out their little barista fantasies without actually worrying about adventuring, because that's what Wizards thinks we want. And that's what Wizards is convinced, that we want D&D Starbucks. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't met anybody on the D&D circle that actually wants this. But I have to assume that there is at least one person. There's enough people to have started this. There's enough people to get them thinking 2025 players don't want to play D&D. They want to play The Sims. They want to play House. They don't want to actually explore the Temple of the Lizard King. They want to get all the rewards going through Temple of the Lizard King would have gotten them safely in the halls of their Bastion. None of the risks, all of the rewards. The whole entire 3 hours of the game was listening to you guys tell me online what you were doing in the Bastion, or playing it out when you go on the VTT. And that's what Wizards thinks we want. And despite the fact that the majority of people have said, no, that's not what we want, for whatever reasons, how many of those involved with Hasbro or D&D Beyond? According to them, that has been the goal, Dark Winter, since 2020. Well, since 4th edition. They told you flat out at the 2020 Hasbro PulseCon, these were the plans for Dungeons & Dragons going towards 2027 and 2030. D&D 6X still sits on the 2027 calendar for Hasbro's plans for D&D. They're literally telling us with every article, with every interview, with every time they roll out, Crawford and have him talk, the virtual tabletop is the goal. And getting you to spend real life money to get virtual tabletop rewards is the goal. Hasbro has told us multiple times this year, Dungeons & Dragons doesn't make them any money. The only way they can make money off of D&D, according to Hasbro, is licensing out the IP and involving the microtransactions in the virtual tabletop. That has been the goal. So that is what they're counting on. That is why they're firing half the staff. That is why every step they have taken over the past 10 years has been towards the goal of getting you to leave behind pen and paper D&D, go on to virtual D&D, spend your hard-earned time and money on these digital cosmetic rewards and these minor buffs rather than actually go out and adventure. Because if you adventure, something bad could happen to your character, and Dungeons & Dragons now believes we shouldn't do that. We don't want to threat them. We don't want our players to ever be in a space where they feel triggered. So here's a safe space in the game where they don't have to do anything, and they can still get all the rewards, but they never have to deal with the danger. And the DM, you can't do anything to hurt them. You can't do anything to hurt the Bastion. If there's a nuclear war, the Bastion will still be standing. I know that's ridiculous, but I also know that's what Wizards thinks we want. And despite never seeing anybody who to tell me otherwise, Wizards continues to think that's what we want. God's honest truth, I have yet to meet anybody in the tabletop role-playing community to tell me, yes, this is what I want. I don't want to actually adventure. I just want to have my character sit in my digital virtual tabletop Bastion or sit in my D&D Bastion and not do anything. I don't even want to do campaign management. I just want to sit there and grind potions. I just want to sit there and craft my thing. I enjoy doing it in Minecraft and Warcraft and Path of Exile. I'm going to enjoy doing it in the VTT. And I want to sit at a table with 3 hours with 5 other people or online and just tell you round after round what I'm doing in my Bastion instead of dealing with the invading orcs. That's what they want. That's what they think we want. We have, I mean, as far as I know, I don't know anybody who wants it. I guess we have to see it in play, right? I guess we have to see it played out. I'm sure there'll be live plays of the Bastion system, and it'll probably be as boring as the whole barista thing. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the new generation of D&D players do want this. Maybe Wizards is right. I don't know. You tell me. Is this something that actually appeals to you? I mean, it's, with everything that's going on in the real world, it's fun to have something else to focus our negative energy on, so we don't have to worry about the future, right? And I guess that's what Wizards is counting on. Wizards is counting on the fact that we're going to want to play this. Wizards is counting on the fact that we're going to spend money on the VTT. Wizards is counting on the fact that if they go digital and do all these horrible, awful things, we will just toddle along. I love that word, toddle along behind them. I know that's ridiculous. You know it's coming. I know that's stupid. You know it's coming. I know that's not what you want. You know it's coming. But I also know, say it with me, that's so Wizards!
Laughing aloud now, magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so Wizards. Oh, 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 oh. Life is a